Pacing back and forth, whispering prayers through clenched teeth, staring at the clock, wondering when the breakthrough will come. You've cried in silence, smiled in public, and fought battles that no one sees. But hear me today. God is not blind to your struggle. He is not deaf to your cry. He is not late, and He has not forgotten you. What you seek, what you dream, what you long for in the silent places of your soul, it is already written in the divine blueprint of your life. It is coming. It is on the way. But not on your schedule, on God's. Some of you are walking around with anxiety like chains around your chest, wondering if it will ever happen for you. Will I ever find peace? Will I ever be free? Will I ever be successful? Will I ever stop being lonely? But I came with a word from heaven to remind you the very thing you are longing for is already in motion. The doors are being aligned. The right people are being prepared. The path is being cleared. God is working behind the curtain, even when the stage of your life seems empty. Don't mistake God's silence for His absence. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. Because if He gave you everything you wanted right now, you might not be able to carry it. You might misuse it. You might lose it. So God, in His divine wisdom, delays the blessing until you are shaped enough to hold it with gratitude, with strength, and with purpose. Let me tell you something that your soul needs to hear. You don't have to force open what God has already promised to open. You don't have to chase people. You don't have to manipulate your way into rooms. You don't have to stress your way into success. You don't have to cry yourself into acceptance. If God has written it for you, it will find you. It will reach you. It will cling to you like destiny itself. Some of you are exhausted, not just physically, but spiritually. You are tired of pretending, tired of waiting, tired of trying to hold it all together. But I want to speak life into you right now. God is not looking for your perfection. He's looking for your surrender. He's not asking you to carry the weight of the world. He's asking you to release your grip, to breathe, to trust, to relax. Because what is meant for you cannot be taken, delayed, or denied, not when God has spoken it. You see, in this world we've been taught that everything good must be chased, that we must hustle, push, compete. But God's way is different. God doesn't operate on chaos. He operates on peace. God leads through calmness, not confusion. When God is in control, you don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fight to be seen. When God is in control, you don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fight to be seen. When God has authored your story, no one can rewrite it. No enemy can steal it. No delay can destroy it. There's something powerful that happens when you relax in faith. When you stop begging and start believing. When you stop forcing and start flowing. When you stop doubting and start resting in the promises of God. Because when you align your heart with trust, the universe around you begins to shift. Doors that were shut begin to creak open. Opportunities that passed you by suddenly circle back. People that ignored you start to notice. Not because you changed, but because your spirit finally stepped into alignment with God's timing. Let me tell you this, sometimes God will withhold a thing just long enough to prove that your identity is not found in it. That your value doesn't come from the thing you want, but from the one who made you. And when He sees that you are no longer desperate for the blessing, but anchored in the blesser, then, and only then, does He open the gates and pour out what you're ready to receive. So many of us think the waiting means denial. But waiting is not a punishment, it's preparation. Just like a seed that is buried in darkness, unseen beneath the soil, your dreams are germinating even in silence. And at the right time, not your neighbor's time, but God's perfect time, it will burst through the ground and blossom into something greater than you could have ever imagined. But you must not rush the soil. You must not dig it up to check if it's growing. You must rest, knowing the process is working. That job you lost, it wasn't a loss, it was redirection. That relationship that ended, it didn't destroy you, it protected you. That opportunity that passed you by, it wasn't for you, because God only withholds to prepare. He only delays to strengthen. He only closes doors to lead you to better ones. But if you keep panicking, you'll miss the peace. If you keep doubting, you'll miss the blessing. If you keep rushing, you'll end up in places you were never meant to be. Relax, child of God. You will get what you want, but not before God has prepared your character to carry it. The promise is not just about receiving, it's about becoming. Because God is not just interested in giving you things, He's interested in growing you through things, and sometimes the very waiting you hate is the training your soul needs. You've got to stop comparing your timing with someone else's. Stop scrolling through social media thinking you're behind. You're not behind. You're not late. You are exactly where God needs you to be for this chapter of your life. The pain has purpose. The delay has direction. The confusion has correction. And the waiting has weight. It builds something in you that instant success never could. Think about it. When the sun rises, it doesn't rush. It rises with calmness, with authority. It stretches over the earth like a quiet promise. That's how your blessing will come. Not in panic, not in fear, but in quiet power. God doesn't bless you through anxiety. He blesses you through assurance. You see, anxiety is the enemy's tool to choke your trust in God, to make you believe that if it hasn't happened yet, it never will. But God didn't bring you this far to abandon you. He didn't shape your character through all those trials to leave you empty-handed. If He led you through the fire, it's because there's gold in you. And gold must go through fire to shine. So breathe. Let go of the tension in your shoulders. Stop rehearsing the worst-case scenarios in your mind. God is not finished. You are still under construction. The storm is not the end. It's just the setup for the calm that's coming. What you're praying for is already on its way, but can God trust you to rest while it's coming? Faith isn't just about believing for miracles. It's about walking in peace while you wait. It's about smiling in the storm, praising in the hallway, trusting in the unknown. That's where your strength is proven. Not in how loud you pray, but in how deep your peace runs when nothing around you makes sense. God is teaching you something in the silence. He's showing you how to rest, not in circumstances, but in His sovereignty. He's pulling you out of performance-based faith and into presence-based trust. Because you don't have to earn what God has already promised. You just have to prepare. Some of you are asking, but how do I relax when everything feels like it's falling apart? You relax by remembering who holds it all together. You relax by speaking truth into your fear. You relax by shutting out the noise of the world and tuning into the whisper of God that says, I've got you. You're not forgotten. Your prayers are heard. Your tears are seen. Your desires are not ignored. And even if you've made mistakes, even if you've failed, stumbled, doubted, God doesn't cancel your blessing because of your weakness. He works through it. He shapes it. He redeems it. He uses the cracks in your life to let His light shine through. Because the blessing is not based on your perfection. It's based on God's plan. You see, when God is writing your story, delays are not denials. They are divine pauses. You may think that everything is going wrong, but sometimes God is removing what you thought you needed to give you what your soul truly longs for. Not what your flesh wants, but what your spirit craves. God knows the difference between what looks good and what is good. And sometimes God's greatest mercy is not in what He gives, but in what He withholds. Because the gifts that come from God come without sorrow. They come in peace, with clarity, and with lasting purpose. There are moments when you feel abandoned, isolated, and unseen. But that is exactly where the deepest faith is born. It's in the shadows that your character is forged. It's in the stillness that your trust is tested. And it's in the quiet chambers of waiting where your soul learns to lean, not on your own understanding, but on God's infinite wisdom. When you relax, not in laziness, but in surrender, you position yourself to receive what no human effort could ever achieve. Because what God builds, no one can tear down. And what God opens, no one can shut. You're not being punished by the wait. you're being preserved. Preserved from wrong people, wrong timing, and wrong decisions. Because what good is a blessing if it arrives before you're ready? What good is a promotion if your foundation is still shaking? What good is a relationship if your identity isn't rooted in God yet? God knows how to protect you from yourself. He knows when to say yes, and He knows when to hold back, not because He's cruel, but because He is wise. If only you could see what God has already protected you from, you'd fall to your knees in gratitude. The opportunities you thought you lost were never meant to elevate you. They would have broken you. The people who left were not meant to go where you were going. The doors that slammed shut were not rejection. They were redirection. Because when God closes one path, it's because there's a better one He has ordained. And you, child of God, are being led by divine hands, not chance, not fate, but purposeful, sovereign hands that see the end from the beginning. So relax. Stop thinking you are behind. Stop thinking. Time is slipping through your fingers. Time belongs to God. And when you walk with God, you are never out of season. He can accelerate your destiny in a moment. He can restore lost years in a breath. He can do in one day what human efforts couldn't accomplish in a decade. But He's not looking at your timeline. He's looking at your trust. Can you trust God when there's no visible sign? Can you walk with confidence when there's no confirmation? Can you sleep at night knowing the answer hasn't arrived, but the author is still writing? Listen to me. Desperation doesn't move God. Faith does. God responds to the heart that says, even if I don't see it yet, I believe you're working. That's when the atmosphere shifts. That's when chains fall. That's when provision comes, not because you begged for it, but because you believed for it. There's a peace that surpasses logic when you truly believe that God is in control. You start to walk differently, talk differently. You don't compete, you don't chase, you wait, you rest, you prepare. You serve the one who gives good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But in order to receive that abundance, you must first be positioned by trust. You must unclench your fists, release your anxieties, and let peace be your posture. That is the language God responds to, faith in stillness. Your weariness does not go unnoticed. Your silent tears are seen by the one who created your soul. You've been fighting battles that no one understands, carrying burdens that no one can see. But God knows, and not one moment of pain will be wasted. Not 1 second of your waiting will be empty. For every sleepless night, God is storing up a harvest of peace. For every denied request, He is preparing a better yes. For every lonely moment, He is writing a story of deeper intimacy between you and Him. So hold your ground in the stillness. Don't move out of panic. Don't compromise your principles because the path seems slow. When you trust God, you begin to see that what you are waiting for is not just about an outcome, it's about shaping who you are in the process. This is not punishment. This is divine craftsmanship. You are being carved, refined, and shaped into a vessel that can carry not just blessing, but legacy, wisdom, and divine authority. Some of the greatest gifts from God come wrapped in patience. Let your spirit be settled in this truth. Everything meant for you is already under God's command. You do not have to chase what's yours. You only need to walk faithfully and stay connected to God's guidance. He will bring the right opportunity at the right time. He will align the right voices, the right relationships, the right breakthrough. And when it comes, you will not have to fight to keep it, because what God gives, no man can take away. That is the difference between worldly striving and godly waiting. One is full of pressure, the other is full of peace. Some are striving for recognition, others are hungry for status. But the one who trusts God seeks alignment, not attention. You don't need the spotlight to validate your worth. You don't need applause to affirm your direction. When God's approval rests upon you, it outweighs every human opinion. Your assignment is not to be famous, but to be faithful. Fame fades, trends change. but a life rooted in God's will stands unshaken through the storms. You must understand this: the weight of your desire reveals the magnitude of your destiny. If the weight feels heavy, it's because the promise is great. Don't curse the heaviness. Don't despise the longing. That longing is your spirit recognizing the greatness that is coming. But it will not come through fear. It will not come through anxious striving. It will come through surrender, through reverence, through your unwavering belief that God's hand is mighty to save, mighty to provide, and mighty to deliver exactly when it is best for you. Stop looking at what others have and wondering why it hasn't happened for you yet. Their path is not your path. Their season is not your season. What God is doing in your life is tailor-made, uniquely crafted, and perfectly timed. Do not insult the craftsmanship of God by comparing your story with someone else's chapter. You don't know what they had to go through. You don't know the battles they faced, and they don't know the glory that's coming in your life. Keep your eyes on your own journey. Focus not on speed, but on surrender. You're not being tested because God is cruel. You're being trusted. Trusted to walk by faith. Trusted to believe in what you cannot see. Trusted to speak life even when your circumstances feel lifeless. You may not see the fruit yet, but the root is growing. And if the root is strong, the harvest will come. A delay in fruit does not mean death to the seed. It means depth is being developed. God is growing you beneath the surface. So rejoice in the unseen. Praise God in the silence. Celebrate what is on the way, even if your hands are still empty. Because this kind of praise confuses the enemy. This kind of peace silences fear. And this kind of trust moves mountains. Relax. You will get what you want, not through force, but through faith. Not through worry, but through worship. Not through manipulation, but through maturity. Let me remind you, there is nothing God cannot do. Nothing is beyond His reach. No door is too big, no heart too hardened, no situation too complex. And if it has taken long, then trust that God is using that time to make it last. Some blessings come fast and fade fast. But the ones that are deeply rooted, those come with time, but they endure. They transform you from the inside out. They don't just satisfy your desire, they expand your capacity. God isn't just trying to bless you. He's trying to build something through you that speaks for generations. He's preparing you to be the answer to someone else's prayer. He's preparing you to carry not just wealth, but wisdom. Not just influence, but integrity. And when the moment comes, when what you've longed for finally arrives, you'll look back and say, it was worth every second. God was wise to wait. So relax. You will not miss your moment. You will not miss your blessing. What God has ordained, no hand can block. No delay can cancel. No enemy can dismantle. And while you wait, let your faith be your anchor. Let your peace be your weapon. Let your worship be your shield. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are under the watch of God. And He does not sleep. He does not falter. He does not forget. This is your season to rest while God works. This is your time to breathe again, to smile again, to trust again. The weight you've carried is being lifted. The fear you've tolerated is being broken. The uncertainty you've endured is being transformed into unshakable confidence. Because God is not done with you. God is just beginning. And the best part is you don't have to figure it all out. You only have to walk in obedience, stand in faith, and wait in peace. So do not be discouraged by what you don't yet see. Celebrate what you know is coming. Declare it, believe it, live like it. Because when you align yourself with God's will, the heavens move in your favor. The earth shifts to make room for your destiny. And what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Let your trust be louder than your fear. Let your calmness be stronger than your worry. Let your heart rest in the truth that God is faithful, not sometimes, but always. Not partially, but completely. And He is not a God of confusion. He is the God of clarity, of order, of divine alignment. Relax. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not failing. You are being led strategically, lovingly, and powerfully by the hand of God. What you want is not out of reach. It is in God's hand. And if you stay faithful, stay patient, and stay surrendered, it will reach you. You must understand, there is no force more powerful than the timing of God. His timing is flawless. His process is intentional. And His silence is not indifference, it is instruction. When God withholds, He is teaching you where to place your dependency. When God delays, He is deepening your discernment. You are not being ignored. You are being groomed. The very waiting that feels like punishment is the sacred hallway to your next elevation. In your patience, God is building something holy in you, something that cannot be shaken by people's opinions or life's storms. We are often tempted to ask, when, God? When will I see the answer? When will the season change? But the deeper question is, how, God, can I honor you while I wait? Because those who learn to honor God in the waiting are the ones He trusts with greater things. If your faith is only alive when things are going your way, then it's not yet anchored in truth. But when your heart still praises, when your hands still serve, when your spirit still believes, despite delay, that is when your trust becomes a weapon. That is when your faith moves mountains. God doesn't want you restless in the waiting. He wants you rooted. He doesn't want you agitated. He wants you aligned. Your peace is not weakness, it's strength. Because anyone can panic when things are uncertain. But it takes spiritual maturity to be still and know that God is in control. That stillness doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from knowing that even if it's not, God still reigns. He still governs every detail. And the final word always belongs to Him. Some people will misunderstand your peace. They'll wonder how you can be so calm when things look chaotic. They'll wonder how you can keep going when it seems like nothing is changing. But they don't know that your soul is no longer anchored in outcomes, it's anchored in God. You're no longer moved by appearances. You're no longer shaken by delays. Because you've tasted the truth that when God moves, He moves completely. When God acts, He acts fully. And when God opens a door, nothing and no one can close it. There is a maturity that comes only through waiting, a strength that is birthed in silence, a confidence that rises from stillness. God doesn't just want to give you what you want. He wants you to become someone who can carry it with grace and honor. So if it's taking time, it's because what's forming in you is greater than what's forming around you. Don't curse this season. Don't resist it. Embrace it as sacred. Every day of waiting is a day of preparation. Every moment of surrender is a moment of shaping. God is doing something deep, and it requires your full trust. Do not look for shortcuts. Do not look for the easy path, because shortcuts often lead to shallow places, and shallow roots cannot sustain deep blessings. God doesn't want to give you something you can't maintain. He's more interested in your foundation than your decoration. What looks like delay is actually divine reinforcement, so that when the blessing comes, it will not crush you, it will lift you. It will not be a burden, it will be a testimony. You must learn to protect your peace in the process. The enemy wants to disturb your soul with doubt, confusion, and fear. But you have the authority to silence those voices. You have the authority to guard your mind, to speak life, and to declare truth over your situation. Don't let anxiety be your guide. Let assurance be your compass. Don't let emotions make your decisions. Let wisdom rooted in God lead the way. And even if others receive what you're praying for before you do, don't let comparison kill your contentment. What God gives to someone else doesn't diminish what He has for you. Their blessing is not your loss. Their open door is not your rejection. Celebrate them, bless them, and then keep walking, knowing that your door will open too in your appointed time. Envy is a distraction. but gratitude sharpens your focus. You don't have to manipulate anything to make it happen. If God has called it yours, you will not have to beg for it. You will not have to chase it down. It will come with grace, not with grief. It will come with peace, not with pressure. It will come in a way that honors God, not compromises your integrity. If you must lose your values to gain something, it is not from God. But if you gain it while keeping your peace, your truth, and your dignity, that is the fingerprint of God. God doesn't operate through desperation. He operates through devotion. The more you focus on Him, the less you will need to prove yourself to the world. The more you worship, the less you will worry. The more you lean into His plan, the more you'll release your own. And when you do that, your heart will stop asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" and start saying, "God, I trust your timing even when I don't understand it." That shift is everything. It's the difference between surviving the wait and thriving in the wait. And when you thrive in the wait, you become the kind of person who can handle what you've been praying for. Because the blessing is not just in the result, it's in the becoming. What God is doing in you is preparing you to become a steward of the very thing you've been asking for. So don't just prepare your hands to receive, prepare your heart to carry. And let me say this to the one who feels forgotten. God has not forgotten you, even when people overlook you, even when opportunities pass you by, even when doors close in your face. God still sees you. And when He sees you, He sees the full picture. Not just who you are now, but who you are becoming. Not just what you need now, but what your future demands. And He is working it out, step by step, moment by moment. The blessing that is coming will be bigger than your worry, deeper than your fear, and more powerful than your pain. But you must not give up now. You must not abort the process just because the wait is uncomfortable. You must not trade the promise for something quicker and cheaper. Hold your ground, keep your peace, strengthen your spirit, and stay surrendered. Relax not because everything makes sense, but because God never makes a mistake. Relax not because the journey is easy, but because God walks every step with you. Relax because what is meant for you is secured by God Himself. And in the right time, in the right way, for the right reason, it will manifest. Not through fear, not through force, but through faith. So lift your head, settle your soul, breathe deeply, and walk forward with assurance. God has never failed you, and He won't start now. What you desire, if it is good and right, is already being arranged in the unseen. So let peace be your position. Let faith be your anchor. Let trust be your testimony. You will get what you want when your heart is fully aligned with what God knows is best. And when that moment comes, you'll understand why the wait was not a setback, but a sacred preparation for something far greater than you imagined. And I say unto you again, relax not because you've figured it all out, but because God has already gone before you. Long before you faced the mountain, God had already carved a path through it. Long before the storm reached your life, God had already prepared your shelter. And long before you uttered the prayer in your heart, God had already recorded the answer in His divine design. There is nothing random about your life, nothing accidental. You are not drifting through this world. You are being guided step by step, breath by breath, by the master planner who sees all, knows all, and controls all. So many chase what they think they need, exhausting themselves in pursuit of shadows. But when you are rooted in God, you don't chase, you attract. You attract what is aligned. You attract what has been assigned. You draw near what was already destined. And how do you attract it? Not through striving, but through surrender. Not through panic, but through peace. Not through force, but through faith. Because it is not the loudest voice that moves the heavens, it is the most trusting heart. God does not ask for your perfection. He asks for your trust. That even in the absence of evidence, you still believe. That even when it feels like the night will never end, you still rise and bless His name. that even when your hands are empty, your heart remains full of praise. This is the kind of faith that unlocks heaven's best. This is the kind of posture that pulls breakthrough into your reality. Many want the results of faith without the endurance of trust, but true faith holds on when the feelings fade. True faith says, even if I see nothing, I know God is doing something. Because faith is not about seeing, it's about knowing. And what you know must be greater than what you feel. Your feelings will fluctuate. Your circumstances will shift. But God is the same, unchanging, unwavering, unstoppable. And I must tell you this, your current condition does not cancel your divine calling. Just because you're in a season of waiting does not mean you are in a season of wasting. God uses every second. He uses silence to sharpen your hearing. He uses stillness to stabilize your walk. He uses closed doors to build discernment. Nothing is meaningless when God is in it. Every delay is loaded with design. Every delay is loaded with design. Every interruption is charged with intention. You are not being buried. You are being planted. And if you stay buried in faith, you will rise in due season with fruit that speaks of the glory of God. Let that settle in your spirit. Let that water your soul. Because if you truly knew how much was being arranged behind the scenes, your only response would be worship. If you could see the divine blueprint being written for your life, you wouldn't question the timing. You would praise in anticipation. But God is not obligated to show you the entire map. He gives you light for the next step. That's how trust is built, not by knowing everything, but by trusting in the one who does. And when you walk by that kind of trust, your confidence no longer comes from outcomes, but from obedience. You say, whether it happens now or later, I trust that God knows the right time, the right place, and the right way. That kind of trust creates a quiet strength that nothing and no one can shake. Stop measuring your progress by what the world celebrates. God is not building you for applause. He is building you for purpose. He is not grooming you for popularity. He is shaping you for power. And that shaping often happens in solitude, in struggle, in silence. So don't despise the hidden seasons. Don't curse the invisible work. God does His deepest work in places that others never see. You may not be where you want to be, but you're exactly where God wants to meet you. You may not feel qualified, but God has already marked you. You may not have the resources yet, but God is the source. Everything you need is already in His hand. Your provision, your healing, your breakthrough, your open door. It is not found in hustle, but in holiness. It is not found in pressure, but in posture. A posture of surrender. A posture of peace. A posture of surrender. A posture of peace. A posture that says, God, I may not see it, but I still trust you. And that trust, beloved, becomes your weapon. When others are panicking, you'll be standing. When the winds rage, you'll be rooted. When people give up, you'll endure. Because your foundation is not built on changing seasons, it is built on the eternal presence of God who never changes. And that presence will carry you when your strength fails. It will sustain you when your hope flickers. It will uphold you when everything around you feels like sinking sand. Let this be your declaration. I will not let fear make decisions for me. I will not let doubt define my destiny. I will not let impatience